am so thrilled to meet you all and to see you in my Zoom kitchen and to have you cook with us today. I am even extremely as glad to introduce you to Dominique, who is the one of the project chairs of this KindSoups recipe, and she'll tell you a little bit about KindWorks and what we're doing today, and then she will lead us in making this wonderful soup that we can enjoy for ourselves tonight and share with lots of other people. Dominique?
Hi, everybody. It's so nice to meet you, and I love Good Deeds Day. I think what a wonderful concept. So it's extra special hosting this tonight. I am in a rural location, and my internet's been a little spotty, so I'm going in through my phone. So if anything is not clear, if everybody can wave like that, I'll know, and Deb will know, and she can take over while I figure it out. So KindWorks, for those of you who are new to KindWorks, is a wonderful nonprofit. I've been volunteering here now for, I don't know, Deb, 5, 6 years?
Yeah.
And one of the things that I think is so amazing about KindWorks, I don't know if it's an official motto, but I think the motto is basically making it easy to make a difference. And what they do is they set up volunteer projects, some of which you have to sign up for, but a lot of which you can just drop in on. They keep a list on their website, and it's everything from KindSoups to kind casseroles, which go to seniors, to donating old laptops that can be refurbished and then go help some of them are helping kids in sort of underserved areas. Some other laptop went to a pop-up vaccine location so that they could do vaccines in an underserved location. Things are a little different. Everything is COVID safe. Some things have been put on hold during COVID. They had a great program, which you have to have training for and sign up for, to work in the jails, helping people get ready for release and employment. But I encourage you to check out the website because they have something for everyone. And it just makes it easy. A lot of them are family friendly. I've done many of them with my kids. I have an interfaith youth service group. We've done a lot of projects with KindWorks. So, Deb, did I miss anything? You can sign up for the newsletter, which will come out, and I think it's once a month, Deb. You can also go to the website and look at the calendar. KindSoups started as a project during COVID. So what happened is we had various projects like the refugee programs. So KindWorks was helping set up apartments for newly arrived refugee families, and they were getting donations from restaurants in order to have a meal there. And so people started getting together to do that. And then of course it wasn't safe to cook together and, you know, set up the apartments. So that's been kind of on hold, but we have KindSoups. Deb asked me, would you want to do this? And we'll cook for our families and then donate 4 quarts to shelters or a neighbor in need or someone with a new baby or someone who's ill, you know, who can't cook for themselves, or an elderly neighbor or friend or family member. So again, it's just sort of an organic way for us to get together, and it's been such a nice way to connect. And I love cooking with people. So for me, it's like having you all in my kitchen, and I really love that. So Deb, have I kind of covered the bases?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you.
And you guys can hear me okay?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Good, so let's cook.
Yes.
Can I make a quick, can I do a quick sisterhood announcement, Dominique?
Yes, of course.
Okay. Well, first I want to welcome everyone on behalf of the Social Action Committee. Thank you so much for being here. We had a terrific response, and I imagine there are still people coming on. And there's several people who had RSVP'd, but ended up not making it to the Zoom, but they're already have their suits done and they're dropping them off. So we're really excited to be able to cook with everyone, and, you know, next year, hopefully in person. But I want to thank KindWorks so much for accommodating us. Deb and Dominique, you guys have been just a delight and so easy to work with, and We love everything you do.
And our pleasure. Thanks.
Yeah, for real. And the last comment is about dropping off your soup. And I'll repeat this at the end, but just quickly, I'm sending a link in the chat in just a moment that is options for where to drop your soup. And it's a little Google form. It'll take you 1 minute, but it lists all the options for dropping it off. Our preference, because of our wonderful turnout, is that you drop it at a food assistance provider directly if you're able to. But otherwise, we have a list of social action committee members who have generously offered up some freezer space, and we'll be glad to collect it for you. So I'm putting that link here.
Danielle, is there a deadline? Is there a deadline?
Yes, thank you. Thank you for asking. We want to make sure they're all delivered by Shabbat. So you'll see on this, no, sorry. There's no deadline for when, if you're bringing it directly to a food assistance provider, there's no deadline. They're going to be very happy to receive it whenever you drop it off. And in fact, one of them, the one in Bethesda, that's probably very convenient for a lot of you, they're not collecting again until next Sunday. So no deadline on the dropping off directly. If you want to drop it off at one of our homes, you'll see in the form I just sent out that we have, we all would like them by Thursday or Wednesday, and it varies by the person. So I'm pasting that information in the chat so you have it handy, but when you click on the link, you'll see it all there. So,
And I would like to add that we are going to hear from Hetty from Here to Help, which is the location that Danielle just spoke to you guys about in Chevy Chase, collecting next Sunday from 10 to 2. So she'll sign on in about a half an hour, and we'll just hear 2-3 minutes about what Here to Help is, and so that you can like decide where you want to bring your soups.
yeah. So thank you for that. Thank you.
All right, let's cook. So heat up your olive oil if you haven't already in a big pot. Deb made the good suggestion to make sure, if you can, to start heating your broth in a separate pot. It'll make it easier to bring everything up to heat once the vegetables are done. I added my onions and garlic. I did my onions for a few minutes and then my garlic, and now I'm adding all the vegetables. You can also add it all in at once. I chopped mine. One of my favorite recipes is by the butter chicken lady. She's an Instant Pot queen of Indian food. And I have this other recipe of hers that she starts off saying, this is so complicated, I don't even know where to start. Dump everything into the Instant Pot. And that's what this recipe is practically like. So once you've got your oil heated, dump all your vegetables in, which is what I am doing. And this is one of those recipes you can use whatever is in your fridge. I used carrots, celery, parsnip, bell pepper, a little cauliflower, a little broccoli stalk. I think other stuff, but I chopped it a while ago, so I can't remember. So I'm just sauteing all of that. And you're going to add 3/4 teaspoon of the salt.
TV now.
Oops.
Says half a teaspoon in the instructions.
Mine says
3/4.
Mine says add the onion, carrot, celery, vegetables, and 3/4 of a teaspoon.
So there was a change in the quantity that the Beth El people are making. I think many people might be making a single, some people are making a double, but Dominique and I are making a triple recipe.
Okay, so therefore, if you're making a double, it should be the half. Is that right? Okay, got it. I'll just follow what I've got.
Sounds good.
So then we're going to stir this. It should be on medium heat until the onion has softened and is turning translucent. The reason I put mine in first is when you've got it with all of this, it's hard to tell what's the onion.
Should the carrots be soft? Like I've got a bunch of carrots. Should I wait till they're soft?
Just the onions. The carrots aren't going to be soft. We're going to saute for 6 or 8 minutes.
Okay.
It says to add the garlic after. My garlic is already in there. Again, I think soup is very forgiving, so I would just do whatever you feel like.
I'll follow it. This is a lot of garlic.
Yeah, it smells delicious. I had a small head and I put the whole thing in. It was about 10 cloves.
I used already minced garlic that comes in a jar. Thank you.
Same.
Just have to do the math.
I actually use that at home, but I'm not at home, so I'm a big fan of that.
And what else goes in there?
Yeah, you might see me adding a lot of spices. That's because I always have curry powder and I was sure I had some and I didn't. So I'm trying to approximate curry powder using, so in another minute or two, we're going to start adding curry and thyme. Don't worry if you see me adding a lot more, it's because I'm trying to make curry powder. So flexible, forgiving. Yep. I'm sure it'll be good.
How much curry powder? I forgot. Oh, yeah. Curry.
Smells great.
It really does.
I have so many vegetables in there and I didn't do the onions first. I think it's going to take longer than 6 or 8 minutes to get the
And take your
vegetables.
time. Just take your time.
Okay.
You know, there's really not that much more to do. It's like we're going to add the spices, stir them a little bit, throw in our broth and cook it. So don't sweat it. Just take your time.
Okay, thanks.
Dominique,
Yes.
someone asked me earlier if they should pre-cook the pasta. And I said, it doesn't matter. Is there a right answer to that question?
That was the right answer.
Okay.
And my question was related, if you're using beans, when should you add them?
Again,
Well,
you
I
know,
would add them with all the other vegetables, wouldn't you?
yeah, the pasta I wouldn't add until later, but the beans I'd add early on.
Okay.
And we should drain the beans, right? And rinse them or?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yes, and for anybody putting some pasta in there, because the pasta was just I had listed a few extra things above and beyond the recipe that you could consider adding. So you may not see beans and pasta on there. Those are just options, but I'll warn you that when you add the pasta, it absorbs a lot of the water, especially as it sits. So add less than you think you want, and it will be bigger when you package it up and share with others.
I wanted to ask about packaging it later when we're done.
Yeah.
I have 4 quarts, but I'm gonna have a little extra. Is it okay to use a couple of these, the small ones as
Sure.
well?
Sure.
To donate? Okay.
Yeah.
And do you want them frozen before we bring them over to
Yes,
somebody?
Naomi, thank you for mentioning that. Everybody, please, if you're delivering soup to the food assistance providers, freeze them first. And the reason for that is we don't have to worry as much about them not being kept refrigerated for long enough. And any spills or anything, it's just an easier way to carry it. And I will also mention, if you're using those quart containers, like this, if you're using these kind of containers, there's that line where there's like a ridged line. Don't go above that, because as your soup freezes, it sometimes blows the top off. Yeah. So they can't use it. So really, you want to be generous and you want to fill it to the top, but don't. Just fill it to here.
Thank you. That's great. That's very helpful. I actually made mine earlier, so I'm packaging it now.
Okay.
Cooled enough. Yeah, and I did it that way, just to the line, thinking, uh-oh, it's gonna.
Good job. Thank you.
Naomi, I have a few extra containers if you want to come here.
That's Fran. She's the one. Are we on mute?
Yeah.
You are not.
Naomi.
Never just asked.
Naomi, it's Leslie. If you want me to grab your soup before I drop it somewhere, I'll be happy to take it with me.
Oh, that's great. Okay, well, it's got to freeze first, obviously.
Yeah, mine too. Probably
Okay.
won't do it till Wednesday, but I'll pick it up and take it.
Oh, that's great. Okay. All right. If
Okay.
that's convenient, I appreciate it.
Sure.
Okay, great.
Let me ask, does everyone know how to label the soup and how to record your quantity?
You had it on the instructions.
Yes.
Good.
So the labeling is on the instructions. We asked you to put whatever I said. I think it was KindWorks/Beth El, the date, and then vegan. Oh, thank you, Leslie. Can you zoom in more? Wait.
Hold on, I'll pin her.
Oh my, that's beautiful.
I put the logo and then I put all the information.
Leslie, you are getting a t-shirt when I get back.
I was thinking
fun part.
masking tape.
Yeah.
That's
Nice.
fantastic.
Deb, can you check your phone for a sec?
Yep.
And then the other thing is KindWorks asks us to record our donations so that they can track. Can you all make sure that you record that on the KindWorks site? I'm going to paste it. You all have it because that's where the recipe is. I'm putting it in the chat again, just so it's handy. So when you're done, we want to know how much. And what else is in that questionnaire, Deb?
When you label the soup, you know what? I'm just going to put my email in the chat. And if anybody needs any information, please feel free. Ask me whatever, because I was looking at something else. I didn't quite hear, Danielle, how much you covered.
So mine is really, I don't know if you guys can see that. It's starting to soften nicely. So I'm going to start, whoops, now my camera's all steamy. So I am now going to add my diced tomatoes, and then I'm going to pour in the broth and the water. Don't worry if you're not quite there, just take your time.
You add the juice from the diced tomatoes, or do you want to drain?
Yes, you do. Hold on just a sec.
Did you say we were supposed to drain them?
Tomatoes, no. Do not drain the tomatoes.
Oh, good, because I didn't.
Good, perfect. Good job.
All right, so bring to a boil.
Sure.
Looks good.
You need anything urgent? I love you. Bye. Sorry, that's my daughter. We're out of town, so I wanted to answer. Mine is smelling really fragrant and lovely. How are yours, guys?
Delicious.
Yes. Hey, man, it looks delicious too with all the veggies in it.
Yeah. I'm gonna put in 2 cans of tomatoes with the juice, and then I'm gonna reevaluate. I'm not a huge fan of super tomatoey soups. So once I have the broth in there, I'm gonna decide whether I want to put in a 3rd can.
Well,
So that's, you know, again,
when we get to the point with the kale or whatever, that'll cook down quickly because I'm running out of room in my pot. I should have used 2 cans, but I didn't. I used 3. Yeah. All right. Okay, not worried.
all right, I'm almost about to put my broth in. And since I'm not really very good at following directions, I actually made 9 cups of broth.
Me?
God.
Impressed. I bought.
Yeah.
That'll be a little left.
Okay, so I got time to.
Bless you.
Bless you. So once you put in the broth, put in your bay leaves.
Yeah.
And do you put the water in now?
What water?
Yeah, let's see. Add the broth and water, yes. And I think the reason they split it that way is you have so many vegetables that it's basically making broth, right? Because I put in more broth, I am going to hold back on the salt till I taste this and see how salty it is from the broth.
Can you use all broth instead of broth and water?
I don't see why not. Again, what tastes good to you, I would just watch the salt.
Yeah. Okay.
Don't add the second salt until you've tasted it.
Yeah, good idea. Okay.
It smells amazing and it's so pretty. Good, I need to see if I have red pepper flakes.
It's really colorful and beautiful.
I'm just gonna put in a little cayenne. Yeah. So now I've got it on high just to bring it up to speed. And I'm gonna put some black pepper in. You can put in your red pepper flakes. Get my pepper. And it said season generously with your black pepper. I'm doing it with a grinder, so I'm just gonna do a lot.
I just have to say, I'm using a Dutch oven and there is no room for the water. It is full.
Oh, no.
I got a bigger
Well,
pot.
you could transition it into a stock pot.
I learned from the last time I did this to use 2 pots.
I'm
Well,
having the same problem. I'm gonna have to
Stock
stock it all over.
My issue is most of my kitchen stuff is in my daughter's room upstairs and I can't find it.
Looks good, Susan.
Can you see
I
anything?
just held everything.
Yeah, I just saw your cabinets.
that's a good sized pot.
Here's some of my cabinets. Yay.
Yeah.
Hey,
So I have a cooktop.
I'm chopping my
helps.
greens. When I go back in, I'll show you my pot.
Okay. Thank you. But I can't find anything. I don't know where my places were. I couldn't find anything to do my carrots.
Once it comes to a boil, we're gonna then turn it down to a simmer and partially cover it so we don't lose too much broth. When I'm cooking for my family, I just taste off the spoon, but when I'm cooking to donate, I just get a little extra spoon to taste it. And I feel like mine needs a little salt, but not the second amount they were calling for because I use more broth.
baby.
How's everybody doing?
Good.
How many of us are there? Do we know?
25 so far. But then Danielle heard from some people who already cooked their stuff and weren't on the Zoom.
Okay, here's my pot. Big enough? I think it's big enough.
It looks it.
It's almost reaching the microwave.
It's not quite that big. Looks like it, but
I
not
am
really.
eating, whoops. I am adding a little bit more spice, in my case, garam masala. And I clearly inhaled some.
Very good.
I think this is aptly named Seriously Easy Vegetable Soup, isn't that what it's called?
Well, it is seriously easy, but Cookie and Kate, who made this recipe, we got it off their website, call it Seriously Good Vegetable Soup.
Sorry,
But really,
it is seriously easy too.
I mean, you guys will use this recipe forever because whenever you go to the farmer's market and they say, oh my God, we have more zucchinis than you can imagine, you throw it in. Or when, you know, your friend gives you tomatoes, you throw it in. Whatever you've got, you can just throw in.
Come on, boil.
That really helped to heat up the broth first because mine boiled immediately.
Yeah.
I heated mine, but maybe not enough, but I did. Yeah.
So I have a question on the spinach or kale. Do you chop it and then 3 cups chopped, or do you take 3 cups and then chop it?
It says 6 cups chopped.
I mean, again, I think it's pretty forgiving. You can just put in how much you want. I would probably chop it first and then measure it. And I probably throw in a little extra because honestly, it shrinks down so much.
That's true. Okay, good. Doing it now.
Can you just tear it rather than chop it?
Sure. Sure.
Especially since it's gonna shrink.
Yep.
Do you have a preference, Deb and Dominique, for, I only have spinach, for fresh or frozen?
You said, wait, you said you only, sorry. Go ahead, Dominique.
For spinach, do you use fresh or frozen?
You have it if you have a choice, but if you don't, I think
I do.
frozen would be fine. Yeah, I would do
I have
fresh.
both.
Because I think chopped frozen spinach is so small, it'll kind of make the soup look different.
Okay.
And you'll have less mouthfuls of spinach and it'll be more like a spinach soup. But again, I think you could do either.
No, I have both. That's why I was asking.
So we're gonna have a little, I think about, I don't know, 15 more minutes and then we'll throw in our chopped greens. I did not check the time. I'm throwing in a little fresh ginger just because.
I haven't boiled yet, so I still have to wait for the rest.
Yes, I would, because what you want to do once it boils is to soften all the vegetables before you put the greens in because they cook. So again, if we're done with the zoom, throw it in when you feel like it's ready, because basically it's one of the last things.
So we can be very flexible with our spices, right? I'm way behind, but I can't find measuring spoons. I can't find anything in my.
I would say if you're putting in beans, I would say if you're putting in canned beans, you could drain them and put them in any time. If you're putting in black beans, I suggest rinsing them first, because otherwise it'll turn it kind of gray. And the pasta, I guess if it's pretty small, I would put it in just before the greens, if you're doing pasta.
Yeah, and if it's not pretty small, break it, because you really don't want a big piece of pasta in this, because like I said, it's going to grow as it absorbs soup.
I pre-cooked the pasta.
Okay.
So I could just put it in.
I would put it in way last.
Yeah, that's what I figured.
So if I can't find bay leaves, which mean I won't be able to pull them out, I can use cracked ones, right?
Absolutely. Yep.
I know I have a bag of them, but who knows where. My kitchen's being renovated right now. This is not a good time.
All right, so let's hear all the colorful things that are in people's soups. Who used what colors and what veggies?
Well, I use squash, and it's very pretty because it's orange and
Same thing. Sweet potatoes, same thing.
Yeah, sweet potatoes, carrots.
Same, butternut squash, black beans.
Zucchini, white beans, chickpeas.
Oh, beautiful.
Green pepper. So a lot of different, it was very colorful, really pretty.
Thing about vegetable soup, my Irish grandmother always had a pot of soup on the stove simmering really, really low. And there was just always soup. She used to puree it for me because that's how I preferred it. I didn't like chunky soup. But it was really interesting. Years later, long after she died, I was reading something about Dylan Thomas's wife, Caitlin. And I think this is actually an Irish thing of always keeping a pot of soup on low on the stove. And then when you're cooking, you just add your bits and bobs and some more water. And it's like, it's like friendship bread, just the forever bread. Forever soup. And you keep making more and it never spoils because it's always on low.
Yeah, you did great during lacrosse.
Sorry? I'm looking for more bay leaf. I only have 2.
I was having trouble picking mine out when it was done. I know I missed a couple of bay leaves, but
Oh, I forgot to mention that you always count the bay leaves you put in, so you know when you found.
well,
a
I
bay leaf.
counted them, but I can't find.
Oh, no.
Right.
Oh, well.
Oh, well, right.
Not gonna kill anyone.
Mine are just gonna scratch people's throats because they're just gonna be little pieces.
So if anyone's interested, I'll share part of a family vegetable soup recipe.
Oh, good.
And what makes that really special is that we put in a couple of cans of crushed corn, and it gives it a lot of thickness and a little bit of sweetness. And at the end in that soup, we actually put dill in, and somehow that really makes the soup. So if you decide to get fancy at another time, those might be things to try.
Love
Wow.
that.
I love
Thank you.
I had some dill and parsley and I broke it up pretty small and put it in. And it gave it a really nice flavor too. So
Wonderful.
How's everybody doing on getting vaccinated?
Done.
Yay!
Yay.
Done.
Yep, 2 thumbs up.
Done. Good, good, good.
Done.
Done and 2 weeks beyond.
Ah, beautiful.
Now my kids are getting vaccinated, so after they're done, then we can see our grandbaby.
Oh, nice.
Was the grandbaby born in the past year?
Yes.
Oh, mazel tov.
We did go to the bris, but it's been 6 months, so we haven't seen him since. And we see him on FaceTime, but it's not the same.
No.
Oh.
I'm double masking it with my 2-week-old granddaughter.
The carrots still are kind of, the carrots still aren't done.
All right, you're just gonna cook it until your vegetables are soft.
Okay.
But I'm gonna interrupt us for just a minute because Hetty from Here to Help.
No, my
on. Hetty, are you there? Where are you? Hetty? All right, maybe she didn't successfully get on. We'll hear from her in a minute, I think.
So I'm a step behind. Did everybody add as much water as it called for?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I just correction. I figured the recipe maker knew what they were doing.
Exactly.
I have a question, Deb.
Yeah.
Why the olive oil at the end? What is the point of that?
I don't know myself, but I think sometimes you add that because then it's not so incorporated into the soup and it will keep some more of its fresher olive oil flavor.
Yeah.
Maybe adding a little richness.
I use a lot of vegan cookbooks or plant-based, and a lot of them say add olive oil at the end for richness. It makes it richer.
And I have to say, this one, I made it a couple times before as is, and I felt like that olive oil and that lemon juice especially really sets this soup off nicely.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome. Hetty, are you on?
Yes.
I am going to introduce you. Here you are.
Hello.
And add a pin. There we go. Everybody, this is Hetty. who is organizing the Here to Help efforts to support about 70, is it up to 100 now, Hetty, families?
Yes, average 100 families a week, yes.
Okay, why don't you tell us a few minutes about what you do, what Here to Help does, and what the soup means to the folks that will be receiving the seriously good vegetable soup that people from Beth El are cooking for them today.
Perfect, that sounds delicious. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for having me. And thank you for all of the delicious soup that you are donating to us so that we could forward to the families that are in need. That's it. Your soup has been a wonderful, delicious addition to the bags of food that we've been sending over to our beneficiaries for the past year. As Deb said, Here to Help started about a year ago when the pandemic first hit. My daughter Lily founded it. She was a senior at BCC at that time. And just like all the families, I'm sure we were all having discussions over the dinner table as to how the pandemic's going to affect families, our family and every other family. And she was concerned because BCC had a food pantry that families could donate to. And that was one thing that we did.
Okay. Okay, thanks. Bye.
Can someone mute themselves, please?
So basically we were one of the families that donated to the food pantry at school. And once school was shutting down, Lily was very concerned as to where her, classmates or the schoolmates were going to have access, because the free and reduced meals were also being shut down. And so there was a lot of uncertainty about how these families could get food. So we started out by the two of us, I ordered more food for our family and we packed bags. And she was the editor of the school newspaper. So she used the school social media to put it out there in case anybody needs food during the next 2 weeks, which we thought that was how long this shutdown was going to be, to reach out to us. And basically, we would pack the bags and drop them off contactless and email the families that your bag is outside the door. So that's how we started. And then as the numbers grew and the shutdown continued, the neighbors and different communities around us heard about us and they started helping us. We have a great number of volunteers helping us now deliver the food. We have 5 site posts in around that receive donated bags from the neighbors. It's a community effort. It's a grassroots effort. And they repack the bags and we send out non-perishable food to the families that request, no questions asked. Now, after a few months, we did start adding fresh baked bread donated by Fresh Baguette in Bethesda, as well as Leon Bakery in Hyattsville. They have donated thousands of loaves of bread to us. And Lily and I would go to the farmers market on Sundays in Bethesda and rescue any of the produce that the farmers did not want to take back with them. So that was the fresh addition to the bags that we had until we got the wonderful offer from KindWorks to add the delicious soup that is being made. So the families, the feedback has been amazing. They love it. And we are very thankful, and we hope to be able to help as many families as possible. We have, on an average, we serve 100 families. Sometimes during the holidays, it's like up to 120. Sometimes it's down to 75, 80, but on an average, we do about 100 families a week. We have Sundays and we have Wednesdays. We deliver food twice a week, but our larger days are Sundays. So when the soups are received, they are turned around and they're sent out in the bags the same day. And if we have any extras left over, then we put it in the freezer and send it out on the Wednesday delivery in case we have any extra. So that's basically how Here to Help started and what we do in a nutshell.
That's wonderful. And you accept the donations at the Bethesda Presbyterian Church down in the parking lot. There'll be coolers marked Here to Help, and that's yes. Sundays from 10 to 2 p.m.
Exactly, yes. We are trying to, the soups were dropped off at our house up to a couple of weeks ago. But then we are trying to go into a central location, which is at the Bethesda Presbyterian Church. As Deb said, drop off is anytime. We put the igloos with ice in them at 10 o'clock in the morning. So whenever anybody's schedule allows to just drop off the soup, you go into the parking lot behind the church, not on Wilson Boulevard, and you just put it in they have orange fluorescent paper on the igloos saying, please drop off here. And we take it in and we bring it out at 3 o'clock when the pickup time from our drivers are. They pick it up and they take it directly to the families.
Well, thank you so much, Hetty. We're amazed at what your daughter did, and you have helped her continue now that she's back at school. We thank you so much for what you do. Does anybody have any questions for Hetty before we let her go and we finish up our soups?
I'd like to say something is I've been collecting since you started the project from my condo building and bringing over about once a month to one of the East Bethesda homes that's on the list. And everyone has felt very good about being able to contribute that way.
Thank you so much.
Giving us the opportunity to do that.
Thank you, Marcia. I really appreciate that.
So I do want to ask, if we want to get involved with Here to Help, besides dropping off soup, how do we learn more, or how do we sign up to collect or deliver?
Absolutely. If you go on our website, it's Here to Help. It's the number 2. Here, the number 2 help, MC for Montgomery County.com. And there you can volunteer for if you can drive, you can, pack food. We would love it if you could come to the church and help us bag food and prepare it for the families on Sundays. We do that as well in the morning. So there's a lot of different opportunities.
Yeah, I put that in the chat.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Hetty, thank you so much. Thanks for all that you do.
Thank you.
I hope we don't overwhelm you with soup on Sunday.
It's okay. We have a big freezer in the church, and also I have a dedicated freezer. I bought a freezer for Here to Help in my garage. So we have plenty of space to store things. Now, it was the freezer is just for the stuff so that we could send out. So that's wonderful. Thank you all for everything that you do and help us so that we could help the families that are in need.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, take care. Have a nice afternoon.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Dominique, you're muted.
Sorry, we have just about 5 minutes left, and I will say my carrots are still not quite soft, so I may not even put in my greens before we get off. But if yours are, you can feel free to put in your greens. And then when they're soft, you're going to remove the bay leaves, stir in the lemon juice, and the 1.5 tablespoons of olive oil. If you're putting beans, you probably already put them in. If not, I would put them in. And if you're putting pasta, if it's cooked, I would put that in last. And if it is not cooked, I'd probably put it in a little before the greens, especially if you're using spinach, which cooks like that. This was so fun. Does anybody have any questions?
No, but it looks so good. I can't wait to taste it.
So is the feedback that the beans are good to put in because at least it adds some protein, or?
Yeah, I like adding the beans. It adds protein, it adds a little bit of heft, and depending upon what beans you use, it might be yet another color, which is always fun. So yeah, I like a little bit of beans. Don't overwhelm it, but put a little in.
I got to find those too.
I mean, you don't need it, Susan. You know what?
No, I think it's probably somewhere in my house. I just don't know where.
Up in your daughter's bedroom.
Yes.
Well, before we sign off, I'll give one other reminder on the delivery options. If anyone joined late, we have a form that we'd like you to complete to let us know where you're going to drop off your frozen soups. So I'm going to put that back in the chat, and if you could fill that out by tomorrow, that would be great. And I'll also send it in an email, so don't worry. Oh, I see we've gotten some responses already. You guys are the best.
That is awesome. And, you know, Danielle, we're actually also looking for the stories. If people gave, you know, soups to, like, I'm out of town right now and I walked across the street and gave some to a lady who lives alone and was gardening, and I gave her soup that I made yesterday. So tell us wherever you share your soups. It's great if you give them to the food assistance providers, and it's great if you give them to the lady next door. Whatever you do with your soups, just let us know. It's kind of fun.
I'm in Ireland, so I'm going to give them to our lovely neighbors who brought us a loaf of bread and some groceries because we had to quarantine when we got here. So we're going to be out of quarantine tomorrow, so I'm going to bake some bread for them and bring them some soup, and also bring some to my cousin who helped us find our house a couple of years ago.
Where are you in Ireland?
In the west of Ireland, in Kerry.
My husband and I traveled there last year. Oh my gosh, we just fell in love with Ireland.
I'm so glad. Where did you go? What were your favorite places?
We actually did a castle tour. We stayed at, it was a charitable auction, and we bid and we got it, and we stayed at different castles, and it was really magnificent. And we wound up at the end of.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Where did you wind up?
I probably should hook up with you separately, and I can tell you the.
Let's do that. I'm curious. I'd love to hear more about your trip.
Do I know how to reach you, Dominique?
I'll put my email in the chat.
Okay. Do we have access?
Where did you end up? Yeah.
We ended up in Dublin for a few days, and I mean, you have to fall in love with that city. And, you know, if you're Jewish, to try and find any real Jewish history in Ireland is a bit of a challenge, but there is some in Dublin, and it was kind of fun. So, but it's a great city. It's a beautiful city. So are you there just temporary? Is this a trip or?
No, my father was Irish. We have a lot of family here, and my best friend married my cousin, and we spent a lot of time at a house they have here. And my husband also fell in love with Ireland, and our kids fell in love with Ireland. So I asked my cousin to keep an eye out for a house for us near them. And she called me once, and I saw some pictures, and we were on a plane in 2 days.
Wow. But is this a permanent move?
No. We just come like twice a year, and we were supposed to come in May, and then they changed some stuff, so we moved our trip up unexpectedly. So,
all right.
So how long's the quarantine
thank
for?
you. Have any good deeds day? Any last questions? Anybody want to share where they're getting their soup?
No, but I want to, thank Danielle for organizing this on the Beth El side, and to thank both of you for, doing this with us from Kind Works. It was really fun, and it's a wonderful organization. We're so glad we could partner with you.
We're so glad to. Thank you. And you know what? Join us any Saturday if you feel like it for our soups, or contact us again and we'll cook together. Yeah. It'll be fun. Yeah. And if anybody, Dominique mentioned before, if anybody has a laptop or a desktop that they don't know what to do because they're not using it anymore, we refurbish computers and give them to students and families in need. So you can always contact me.
Great.
All right. Thank you.
Everyone take care.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks so much.
Thank you.